Welcome to the extension of the Node-RED, running Node-RED in the Access camera. In this video, I will demonstrate events, both listening on events inside the camera and also firing an event. So we're going to be using this, the events. We can pull that one up and let's just put a debug right there. So this is listening into the events from the camera. So if you double click here, you will see that you can filter on some of the rough filtering on groups. So ACAP would be all the events generated by ACAPs. So we can select here all events. And let's run this one without the suppress initialization states. So what is going to be, so let's go up to the debug mode and deploy here. So the camera will give all the states of all the stateful events. Let's make this a little bit bigger so we can look into this one. So what you see here is the topic of the event. So this was the virtual input on port 13. So we can actually stand here per port 13 and false. So these can be to check all the states of, let's say, motion detection if it was high or low. So let's we can clear this. So assume that you do not want all of these when Node-RED starts, or when this one, this node restarts. You don't want all those initialization states. You just click there, and now we're not going to get anything. So how do you use this? Well, let's say you want to use this to trigger some kind of a flow in the camera, or trigger a flow here based on an event in the camera. So if we can go here and we have Access Objects Analytics running. So let's do just a motion. Delete. So let's create a new scenario and object in area. Next, and let's say, cars. Next, and anywhere in here. Finish. So going back to the Node-RED, and as you see here immediately, the camera application platform object analytics scenario one, and the state is false, true. I'm getting a video source motion alarm as well because that one is enabled. So instead of not having all here, let's just go to the ACAPs, and let's remove this one. Deploy. And there may be other events coming from other ACAPs. So let's pick the one stationary scenario 1. So let's just use this. So we only want to get those. You see we're getting device 1 scenario, but we only want to get for that one. And let's copy. And now we can add a filter by having a switch node right there and saying when message topic, we need to change that, is equal to that, then you go to output 1. You can add more outputs here. We could say otherwise Now we're going to have two. So if it's only from this AOA event, otherwise it will go to output 2. But I'm only interested in that one. Done. Deploy. And if vehicles are passing by now, we're only getting this one. So we see now we have an active false, which is not. So here we could actually do a now if we want to only trigger on false or true. So message payload, so this is the message payload right here, and there's a property called active. If message payload active is, and this is going to be a Boolean expression, true, go to 1, and here we can add a Boolean expression false. And let's can just zoom out here a little bit, and we deploy this. So this flow right here on this part is only going to be when it's true and false. So let's wait until a car passes by. So there we got a true, and there we get a false. So if you hover over here, you see the red part here, and you see active true and active false. So in order to, we can make this a little bit more, where we can say only AOA, and we can call this active, just to make things a little bit more readable. So that's listening into events. If we go into the camera under system and events, add a rule, select the condition, you're going to see here that there are 3 events: Node-RED data, Node-RED event, Node-RED state. So if from Node-RED you can fire an event that can trigger an action in the camera, or it can trigger an action in a VMS. So 3 different types of based on the use case. So that's what we're going to be looking at now. I'll remove this, and then I'm going to be importing a example under access host, and it's called events import. Deploy. So here you see, okay, so we're getting, I don't want to get all events. So let's do the ACAP and let's suppress that. So like that. So for firing an event, you use a node called trigger. So I have 3 different versions of this node. So if you double click here, you can select which event type. So the event has one payload property called value. And we can set any number here. Done. And deploy. And let's fire that one. And we can see that the debug output is coming from the event in here. So we just had the camera firing an value event with this value. So you could use different values to trigger different kinds of actions. Sometimes you need an event that is stateful, like record while active. So you're having some flow here, and then you want to, when something is true within the Node-RED, we can trigger a true. So you could actually set 0 or 1 here based on true or false, but we're going to be leaving this one blank, and we're going to be injecting it with a payload that's going to be a Boolean, and it's going to be true. And the same thing here, it's going to be false. So we're going to be injecting a Boolean into the state event and triggering that one. Now we saw, so we got the motion detection, but here is the let's make this a little bit bigger. Camera application platform, Node-RED state, true. Let's just flush this and doing a false. What? There we go, state false. I need to check why that occurred. Ah, it's this one. And then for the data, come on, let's, I could filter here on only the Node-RED, but so on the data, if you want to reach some kind of an application with some specific data, and in this case, you can put it's a string, so you could actually add a JSON data and just doing hello world and going in here and triggering. So we got the data and hello world. I could, in this case, do a JSON parse on this property and getting a JavaScript object. So the both of these are extremely valuable if you want to trigger something inside the camera that will trigger a flow, or sending an event back to either the camera or to a VMS. And that's it about events.